All right, Eskom will shed some light on its financial position. The cash-strapped utility is releasing its financial results this morning. Well, let's take you live now to Eskom. The chairperson, Jabu Mabuza, is on the podium.
Whom we have a privilege to host today. Minister, we are grateful for your unwavering support and guidance in this journey of renewal. As a noted advocate for good corporate governance, our non-negotiable mandate to root out financial mismanagement and malfeasance and maladministration in the organization is affirmed by your support. Ladies and gentlemen, in a business as usual results announcement, much time is spent on the numbers. However, I think we would all agree that today is not a business as usual results presentation. So it's important to put into context the results that we are going to be sharing with you here today. Firstly, let me start by clarifying that these results are for the year ended 31st March 2018. This is a 12-year period, but the bulk of this 12-month period, the bulk of this 12-month period falls outside the current board's and Pagamani's tenure. Put differently, only 69 days of our tenure is reflected in these results that we are presenting today. Eskom is undoubtedly facing one of the most difficult times in its 95-year history. For the period under review, despite achieving good operational performance, Eskom experienced a tumultuous year characterized by weak financial ratios coupled with leadership and governance issues. It's no secret that a number of our challenges in the year under review stemmed mainly from the qualified audit opinion that was incurred in the year that ended March 31, 2017, which was due to, amongst others, the first point being incompleteness of the irregular expenditure information in terms of the PFMA requirements, to the many allegations of financial mismanagement against senior officials, and am I right, of other issues related to lapses in governance processes and other internal controls. These challenges, amongst others, were widely stated as the biggest contributors to the deterioration of confidence in Eskom by the financial markets, which constrained our access to funding, leading to a liquidity crunch, and consequently raising serious concerns regarding the long-term financial viability and going concern status of the group as that the interim reporting period that ended on the 30th of September 2017. Now, simply put, Eskom's back was against the wall, needing to raise 20 billion rand within 30 days after having had no access to funding since July 2017. Let me say this again. When we arrived here end of January, we had to deal with the issues that I have mentioned, but those issues were flowing primarily from the fact that for the year ended 2017 March, Eskom had a qualified opinion. They have not been able to be in the financial markets since July 2017. They had not presented their results for the period ended September 17. We arrived in end of January 18. We had to present those results, but those results had to be presented and they had to be seen to be better than the March 2017 results in terms of opinion, but with a going concern. If we were not releasing those results, we're given 30 days by the stock exchange that they will delist our bonds from the market. We also had the liquidity crunch that was occasioned by the fact that we have not been able to raise money. So we managed to present those results. At the same time, we had to raise this 20 billion rand within 30 days, which became our bridge to bond. So the importance of this point is when you look at our interim results, as I will now let you know, that our results for the year ended March are qualified in as far as the PFMA is concerned. It's important to state that interim results were in terms of the IFRS. In terms of the accounting standards, the interim results were presented. At the year end, the auditors then do a PFMA compliance analysis. In as far as the IFRS concerned for the period ended 31st March 2017, we are pleased to tell you that our results are unqualified, as in the financial numbers. Our results, in as far as compliance with the PFMA is concerned, are qualified. They are qualified because over the period there have been irregular expenditure. Our ability, our systems, our controls could not be relied on. This issue of irregular expenditure has been found to be incomplete. We also have been found to have not been in compliance. We reported at the year ended March 2017 irregular expenditure of 3 billion. Today we are reporting irregular expenditure of 19 billion. This 19 billion is primarily a function of us having gone as far back as 2012. Secondly, it's been a function of us shaking this cupboard so hard that all skeletons are coming out. We are not able to tell you today that all the skeletons have come out. We will continue to shake this cupboard. There may be more that would still have to come. So when you look at these results, just bear in mind we've had to go back to as far as 2012. However, we need to then decide. We don't have the whole decade here. We've got to start to address Eskom of the future, turning Eskom around. So we're in the process of requesting the minister and the Minister of Finance in National Treasury that we must stop now. We must stop how far back we can go. Because we'll spend all this time trying to go back to, I don't know, 95 years ago or 2010, 1910. So we have to draw a line at a point. So we are of the view that we should spend our remaining time going forward trying to put into place credible, reliable systems that when it says this is irregular and how we comply with those. So with all this in mind, as I said, we have now had our attention centered on addressing through quick and decisive actions 3 critical issues: the governance-related matters, the funding to find neat solutions to address our liquidity issues, and as I said, releasing the delayed results. But whilst we've made significant progress in our view in terms of consequence management, governance controls, and executive leadership stability, the road ahead remains difficult as we sustain this recovery to transition for future growth. So it is also critical to contextualize then the audit review as I have given you. Whilst we as a board are disappointed that a qualified audit could not be avoided for this financial year, our view is that our challenges in their nature cannot be solved overnight. We are comfortable, though, that great strides have been made in our key focus area, with a number of initiatives being set in motion to address these key issues in a sustainable manner. I'll come back to this point on the qualification, but first let me pick up the few things within our areas of focus. The board have intensified our cleanup campaign. Since our inception, we have seen several executives and staff members implicated in serious allegations and misconduct fall by the wayside. Some criminal proceedings have already been initiated. We continue to pursue wrongdoing and take corrective action. I believe that our commitment to improving our governance practices has in the medium term resulted in greater number of issues of irregularity and impropriety coming to light. Of course, key to this is achieving the objective is also a stable and a capable executive leadership. And as such, the appointment of Pagamani Hatebe as permanent group CEO was prioritized and finalized. The board has also resolved that the size, the functional diversity and complexity of the institution warranted a 3 top persons executive leadership, comprised of Group Chief Executive, Chief Financial Officer, and a Chief Operating Officer. This culminated in the appointment of Jan Oberholzer as our Chief Operating Officer, as announced recently. We are still in the process of appointing a CFO and believe that finding the right candidate is key, not only for the stabilization and restoration, but also for the design and execution of our strategy for the future. At this point, let me assure you that we do believe that the current acting CFO is perfectly correct, is right, is doing the job that needs to be done. So in our view, the priority had to go into the operational side, which is why we sort of brought forward the issue of the COO. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the improvement in Eskom liquidity position, the organization continues to face significant financial and liquidity challenges. In the short to medium term, mainly due to high debt burden, low sales growth, higher primary energy and employee benefits expenses, as well as finance costs. The reality is that while Eskom generates adequate cash to meet its operational requirements, it has to borrow to service debt for the investment activities. Prioritizing financial sustainability and strengthening of the balance sheet while minimizing reliance on debt and government guarantees remain our priorities. In this regard, we are continuously reviewing our operational and capital expenditure to maximize savings and improve cash flows. We are mindful that to be able to achieve longer-term business and financial sustainability, a significant improvement in financial and business discipline is required. This all speaks to our long-term strategy, which we are in the process of redesigning. Coming back to the results of our audit, similarly, our position at interim reporting, there were no issues identified by the independent auditors to report in terms of the IFRS. A small win, looking at the emphasis of matter issued in the previous year. Sorry. That being the case, the auditors have, however, qualified the completeness of the information that is required by the PFMA on irregular expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and losses due to misconduct. The qualification arose as a result of the following. Our procurement procedures generally did not comply with the PFMA. Some of our performance information in relation to addressing our previous PFMA queries could not be relied upon. The intensified cleanup led to further irregular expenditure being reported, and our focus on improving governance and embedding the processes, as well as ensuring that all requirements were adhered to from 2012, as I indicated earlier. This exercise relating to the last 2 points resulted in a significant increase in the number of reported irregular expenditure in 2018, as I said, from 3 billion to 19.6 billion, with many of these reported arising in prior years. We unfortunately also find ourselves in a position where we still do not know what we do not know. And as we further scrape the barrel, we could find other issues that could result in further irregular expenditure reported in the 2019 annual financial year statements due to transgressions from the past. I want to reiterate this point. Whilst a qualification may be seen as a regression following an emphasis of matter opinion that we got at interim reporting period, this should also be seen in the correct context. As at March 2017, we had an emphasis of matter relating to IFRS compliance compared to a clean audit now. The interim review did not include PFMA-related matters, which the current qualifications relate. And the mandate to clean up necessitated greater effort to surface and deal with all issues that predate the current board in order to ensure sustainable clean governance in the long term. Ladies and gentlemen, Eskom remains motivated to move forward to a successful future, to deliver on our commercial and developmental mandate, and to remain South Africa's trusted and credible electricity supplier. I want to reiterate the comments I made at the interim results announcement on the 30th of January this year. That I strongly believe that with the right governance structures at board and executive management level, the priority is entrenching financial and business discipline as a foundation to restoring the credibility and integrity of the utility with the financial markets. These are some of the key principles that are critical to stabilize, reform, and ultimately set Eskom up for a sustainable, successful future. As we share our annual results with you today, I would like to thank the board for their concerted effort in turning Eskom around by making difficult decisions in the best interest of Eskom and of the country. My sincere gratitude goes to Pagamani for the excellent work he has done since joining Eskom end of January. Pagamani has a strong reputation in turning around organizations. In light of Eskom's current financial challenges, we are very fortunate to have someone of his caliber to steer Eskom towards achieving our vision for the future. I also wish to extend a particular word of thanks to those of our employees who had the courage to denounce the acts of wrongdoing they witnessed in this once great organization. Lastly, but importantly, to the more than 47,000 employees, Eskom guardians, who are committed to keeping the lights on, to power our great nation. Thank you for your resilience and professional outlook in the face of serious adversity. As a parting shot, I want to challenge us all to look at our results with a slightly different set of lenses. They represent a base for restoration and renewal. The damage was not done overnight, and so cannot be fixed overnight. We have to take some short-term pain to achieve long-term gains and the Eskom of the future that we all want to see. I will shortly ask Pagamani and his team to expand on the details of our annual results. However, before I do that, Minister, we have had to juggle the program a bit, Kulu, that we will let the results be presented, and after that, open to the media their questions, and then the Minister can then close. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.
Maybe just a small correction on my part. And sometimes the chairman was talking about the quality of information that sometimes is being investigated. I had said the password was media and media. As you can see there, it's Franklin. Apologies about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kulu. The Minister of Public Enterprises, Mr. Gordon, the Chairman of the Board, board members that are here, executive of Eskom, media people that are here, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to see us today. We are honored to have you here today. I want to start my presentation by a quote that's been used by quite a lot of people. It comes from Obama. where he says that we are the people who will change this place. We are the people that we've been looking for to change this place. We've been here for 5 months, and there are green shoots that we are beginning to see. They have been encouraging. But we know that the journey ahead is still too long. If you want to have a clear understanding of Eskom, you need to split it into 2 sections. We should have the pre-2018 January and the post. $82 billion to $600 billion in the space of 4 or 5 years, where EBITDA was 20%, which means we were borrowing to service our debt, where gearing was sitting at 72%, going to 78%. Those were the challenges that we were facing. But when you went through the corporate plan, the shareholder compact, it didn't create an impression that this was a priority. It left one with a feeling that somehow things will work out. Things will they'll solve themselves out. It was due to this that when the new board came in, it didn't take the corporate plan and the shareholder compact and say, let's look at this and let's activate. But they took a conscious decision. There was a feeling that the biggest problems that we have been facing are following the leadership and governance instability. And because of that, we needed to do things differently. That was the emphasis that we got. When the new board was appointed, it didn't work on business as usual. The priority was there. How are we going to clean up this place? How are we going to stabilize it? And if we can do these 2 things, we can then begin to talk about the long-term strategy of Eskom, the future of Eskom. And that demanded quite a lot because some of us had not had experience in the utility industry. But there are green shoots that began to show, smaller things that made us realize that we were on the right trajectory. For example, despite the challenges that we had during the financial year, you began to see the improving liquidity of an institution that could not access funding for 6 months. The operational performance continued to improve, and we'll talk about that. The control system and governance improved. We're not yet where we'd like to be, but there was progress. It was only then that we then started talking about the future Eskom. What kind of Eskom do we envisage? Of course, globally, all the utilities have been evolving because of the changing world. And somehow, we remain a bit behind as Eskom. But all those things that we were talking about, the action that was necessary, it became clear from us from the beginning that we need to be resolute, that we needed to take tough and decisive decisions if we are to change this institution. And that happened. The first thing was, how do you move a business from business as usual to transitioning it towards sustainability? We then look at the long-term strategy. What is the long-term strategy that informed Eskom over the past 10 years or so that is aligned to the shareholder compact that builds the corporate plan? It became clear to us that the last time Eskom had an integrated long-term strategy was 2010-2011, which therefore means that your corporate plan and your shareholder compact were skewed. And instead of pursuing the strategy, we then concentrated on operational issues, complying with the operational issues, tweaking. And an institution of this sort cannot be sustainable if you move away from the strategy and you concentrate on compliance. Yes, we've been good in compliance. BEE, we have the numbers. Women at the management, we have the numbers. Disabled people, we have those numbers. As crucial and as important as that was. But the truth of the matter is that you were sitting on the debt of 380 billion, which you're struggling to service, going to 600 billion. And on your EBITDA, you were sitting at about 72, going to 78. That was a challenge. And over and above that, we had the investors that were saying, we're not going to touch your paper. We tend to say that the demand for paper in Eskom stopped when we had a qualified audit report, which took place in 2017. That is not the case. In the past 5-8 years, a number of investors that were very strong in Eskom were steadily moving out. We needed to bring them back. So, because of that, then you had this compounding poor performance that we faced. It came in different forms. Last year it was a qualified audit report, allegations of corruption and mismanagement, and we appear not to be taking action on those. It was governance challenges. It was a negative investor sentiment. Amidst that space, when Eskom was facing these challenges, there was a statement that came from the Minister of DPE in June last year, which stated the overall financial performance of the business had been good, with it designed to cost strategy showing positive results, as reflected by increase in revenue. You will see the numbers that are not talking about that. So, somehow, as we were operating, Eskom was operating in isolation of each other. The shareholder on the other side had his own views. The management on the other side had their own views. Everything was not planned. Now, this was bound to happen. It was bound to happen because we were in big, big trouble. How do you have 10 CEOs in 10 years? How do you have 6 boards in 10 years' time and still assume that all this would be achieved? What unfortunately happened is what was known as a corporate plan did not talk to the shareholder compact, and it did not talk to day-to-day operations of the business. So everyone was trying the least they could do. I'm a South African, and I've had a privilege of working in government. I keep asking myself a question. Did I go through this procrastination? What did I do to assist Eskom? At least to raise the hand that things were not fair, that things had to change. If you're looking at an entity that had had a privilege of having 168 tariff increase in a space of 12 years, plus recapitalization to the tune of 83 billion, facing these challenges, Shola should have raised the voice. Shola should highlight that there's something wrong, and this is structural. Same thing with the shareholder ministry. Same thing with the financial oversight of the National Treasury. Same thing with the policy ministry, which is DOE. The parliamentary committees that are in Parliament. It should have been avoided. And we didn't do so. By the time the management went up to the president and said, things have to change, then we had the media that started coming forth and saying, we can't be allowed to operate the way they were operating. When investors decided, not in my name, I'm not going to invest, the horse has bolted. But we can still do a lot of work. Eskom is a resilient institution. It's a big institution. We need to be clear what is our shareholder compact. That informs the corporate plan, that informs our operations. And the Minister of DPE has highlighted that he wants to see a more informing, more detailed shareholder compact so that we can build the corporate plan which then feeds on our operations. And we have promised that by September, we'll have a document of that sort that combine all the operations of Eskom. Now, going back to what I've just highlighted, these are 7 key strategic targets for corporate plan of Eskom. Remember again, we are under duress financially. You are sitting with a huge debt, your gearing is huge, your EBITDA is not well, your cash balance is less than 1%, your debt balance is less than 3.5%. You are in trouble. Your debt to equity ratio is sitting uncomfortable at about 2.2%. But this is what we get. Yes, we can grow the economy by 2.1 local sales, 8% exports. We didn't grow we reduced the local 1.1, export was 1.2. Primary energy, 43 billion, it was 5.3 that we achieved. CAPEX, we said we are going to optimize to an amount of 25 billion. We reduced CAPEX 56 to 47, which is better. Private sector participation, we didn't achieve our target, nothing at all. Reducing the government guarantee from 105 billion, we didn't reduce that. Digital and advanced analyticals to improve EBITDA by 6 billion, we saved 500 million. Connecting 1 million housing, we did well there. We managed to connect 215,000 houses, and we hope that by 2018, we'll have committed an additional 42,000. But this talks a normal institution that can operate on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't talk about the institution that is struggling to raise money from the market, that has been begging government to recapitalize. Neither does it talk about the high costs that we've been facing and how we reduce that. And amidst this corporate plan, where we haven't done well, it then shows us the shareholder compact. But on the shareholder compact, we're doing well. We improved from 62 to 74. How do we do well on the corporate plan and not on the shareholder compact? There's a disconnection between those two again. And of course, as we all know, that the business operations are informed by a corporate plan and shareholder compact. One can't be successful at the expense of the other. When the president came, he raised key strategic issues on the SONA. He said, we need to strengthen governance and root out corruption. He said, we're going to remove board members from any role in procurement. That has been done here, where we have a board, the BCT, Board Tender Committee, which now oversees the responsibilities of what needs to be done. Review the funding, that's what we've been talking about. But what I'm trying to highlight is when the president moved up and said these are things that should be done, the board followed through, and we are then begin to see those results. That is why then we needed to review our own corporate plan. So, the story goes like this then. January, a new board is appointed, and when that board is appointed, it doesn't pursue the corporate plan, but it started on a cleanup and stabilization. I like to make an example. Your house is destroyed by earthquake. You come, you want to fix the classes. You need to start with the structure. And that is what the board did. The board said, we're going to clean up this place. We're going to stabilize it. And once this has been done, we can then begin to talk about the future of Eskom. Where should it be? And that's where we are as we are talking now. But again, the chairman has already alluded to that. Because of a number of responsibilities that we were facing, clean up this side, strategy this side, on the other side, doing the basics on the operational issues. It was felt that a 3-person team will do a much better job. And I've been happy with that because personally, it has allowed me a bigger space to look on the strategy side. Then the key decisions that the board made. Highest level of governance. We are not 100%, but we have covered a lot of ground. There was a case that went through. We were disappointed this year, which is the first one, but we're investigating. Purpose, mandate, powers of all subcommittees were reviewing the board charter so that we don't tick the box. This is also related to decision-making by board subcommittees, which has already been spoken about. Then the corporate plan. The board was clear with the management. We are not going to accept a 5-year program plan that exposes us to 600 billion when we can't service the 380 billion. Minister, we request permission that you allow us to have a 1-year corporate plan, and in September, we will submit a shareholder compact upon which we'll discuss and talk about the future of Eskom. That has been done. Included here, as you will see, is what needs to be done with regard to CAPEX and OPEX. Then we said, we're not only going to rely on tariffs. We're going to knock on the doors. We're going to maximize revenue. We're going to cut the cost so that we are able to reduce our debt, but also are able to ensure the sustainability of the institution. Sometimes we forget how big Eskom is and the role that Eskom plays in South Africa. Just running through this, you will see on GFCF, it contributed 6% in 2010, going to 10%. If Eskom had grown, let's say by 10%, can you imagine the impact it will have in the economy? Look on the other side on the GDP. We are contributing 2.1% on the GDP, and indirect is 5.1%. A 10% growth of Eskom will have a big impact on the economy. You can also look down here on SARS, contributing 1.3% on SARS. Direct and indirect, 5.4%. We're sitting with a formidable institution that can create jobs, that can help this country move forward. But if, and only if, us who are involved here do the best they could, not just to turn around this institution, but to ensure that it is sustainable. An example of other utilities around the world, they have grown. Electrobus, 171%, 8% EDF, this is EBITDA. if you're talking NL, is 69. We haven't done well. What could have been an impact if at least we grew that by 15, 16% or so? That is what should be at the back of our mind. Eskom is not about delivering electricity only. It's about the engine for growth and development in South Africa. And when we went through the IR issues, we all experienced that. So, what have we decided to do? As a board, we said, yes, we're going to clean up. We want to be a trusted, most trusted state-owned entity. We'll do this by being transparent and effective governance. That has been done. Not 100%, but it's been done. Address qualified audit, identified more irregular. The chair has already spoken. He presented it so well. We were happy with IFRs, but we haven't done well on the PFMA. But we have a time. We thought we'll clean this place within a short space of time. We're going to get more resources, and we're going to deal with this. Stabilization. EBITDA for the first time increased from 37.5% to 54% through savings. So we're heading closer and closer to 35%, which is our target, which will allow us to service our debt and capital. Liquidity, yes, we raised 57 billion from January. That's been a lot. And in this financial year, we raised 22% of the funding. We're reducing CAPEX and OPEX. We have identified the risks that we'll be taking. But we are an institution that is facing severe challenges. So we need to make and take decisions that are directly affecting us. If we don't do that, then Eskom will remain where it is. We have identified opportunities that are there in the market. 500 megawatts, which will give us roughly about 2.9 billion in 2 years' time. And we have signed 11 companies on this, and we are happy through that engagement because some of the clients were not working with us. Reducing area debt with municipalities, we have escalated it to the board, to the government. We said it was not only an Eskom issue. We've been to Parliament 7 times. There is a committee by ministers that is dealing with this. IMTT, interministerial task team that is helping us. The results have not been forthcoming and moving as quick as we would want, but we have elevated our story and we are bringing different players into it. The coal price will remain a challenge. It's something that we have to look into. And it remains a challenge, but what we have invested, put some investment on our cost price, cost plus, and we are talking to them to look at the prices. The changes might not take as quick as we'd like to see, but we are engaging with them. Optimize staff productivity levels. We've cut the CAPEX, we've cut the OPEX, we have the maintenance, we have identified opportunities that are there that will give us 2.9 billion. But over and above that, we have gone to the municipalities and worked with government. But all this is sufficient. It's not sufficient. We're looking at our own productivity levels in terms of the head count, in terms of the clients that we have per head, in terms of customers, in terms of distribution, in terms of transmission. We're looking into that so that we can come up with the best option. These are discussions that we are talking to a shareholder as we talk. The truth of the matter is, under the current construct, we are going to struggle. We need to enhance the productivity levels. Then ultimately, we need to talk about the Eskom of the future. And that is where the discussion is. We have had experts raising different views, how Eskom should be unbundled or bundled. We haven't reached that conclusion, but the debate is ongoing, and we hope you, as part and parcel of Eskom, are going to assist as we move forward with this issue. Now, the significance of what the board has done on the corporate governance. You will see yesterday there were 9 implicated senior executives. There are 10 now. They've exited. 11 criminal cases open, 9 senior officials out. Outstanding disciplinary hearing of 1,049, of which 628 have been done and 75 employees have exited. 239 whistleblowing, which was never used before, 122 have been concluded, and 67 confirmed gone. Remedial action of people that were doing business with Eskom, 25 of them, 7 have gone. Lifestyle audit, we're all doing that. There's work going on. Hopefully in the next 2 months it will be completed. Then we'll go to another levels. Right now we're dealing with the first 2 levels. Irregular supplier contracts, those businesses that entered transaction in a dubious manner, all 5 of them were not doing business with, we have told them. McKinsey paid us 902 million. The interest of about 100 will be coming in. We'll be looking at $1 billion. We are moving forward. We are working with 8 regulatory bodies in trying to clean the place up. And those are National Treasury Procurement Investigation, Zondo Commission, Hawks SIU, Parliamentary Inquiry, National Director of Public Prosecutions, Standing Committee on Public Accounts, and SARS. They're all coming here. They all demand the information. We've been able to give that information. We have spoken about the qualification, where we've done well, where we haven't done well. With liquidity, again, we've spoken about it. We did indicate since the beginning of the year, we've raised 22 billion as we talk now. Out of 72 billion borrowing here, we're 22%. But what is important is 2 big transactions that we're about to conclude that will increase our holding, that is commitment to 62%. And we hope in 2 months' time will be 80%. And the plan is that we'll open the year with 34% borrowing. That is important for 2 things. One, the issue of the concern that was raised by the rating agencies becomes something of the past because the going concern will be covered. But secondly, the appetite and diversification of the funding will be coming in. We have spoken about the CAPEX and the OPEX that will be following through. But ultimately, our goal is to move very close to 35% of the EBITDA. Growth sales, we've spoken about that. Reduce area, we've spoken about that. Manage risk, we've spoken about that. Optimize productivity levels, we've spoken about that. But ultimately, we have to decide about the future of Eskom. We need to agree with the shareholder on the key policies that will derive us for us. We need to review the business model and see whether this remains relevant. Skills and capacity are important. We have to review that. But ultimately, we need new growth markets and products for us to grow this business as we move forward. So a number of decisions have been made, and we're beginning to see the benefits of those. It's not going to change overnight, but at least there's a commitment that we are beginning to see to the rest of the team that has been involved in this. The operational performance has done very well. I'll quickly just run through. If you are looking at generation plant, 77 to 73, that's an achievement. Particulate emissions, 0.30. Water usage has improved. Transmission, we've done very well. Distribution, we've done very well. Cypher, we've done well. Reviewed Medupi and Kusile dates. They were reviewed. Medupi has 3. And Kusile 1, we're expecting an additional 2 to Kusile in due course. And we have 2,510 MVWA that will be coming through transformation. Houses that have been built, we have spoken about those. More than 1 million households. And lost time injury rate is 0.23, regrettable, we lost three. We had 3 fatalities of our employees and 12 from contracts, which should have been avoided. BE business 80%, spend with black-owned businesses 45%. I'm highlighting. Sometimes we fail to tell our own story. That yes, there are challenges. That yes, our finances have to improve. But there are 47,000 employees here that have done an incredible amount of work. And that is why we have this power. And this is a period of 5 months or so. And we are confident that if we proceed with this trajectory, by the end of the year, we'll be sitting in a far better place. As you can see here, the EBITDA is moving, except the net loss of 2.3 billion on the financials. Net cash operations came down from 45 to 37. Liquid asset 22 billion against 33. We are in the right direction, but it will just demand that we put more effort. We seem to have somehow garnered and been able to identify key areas that will move us forward. And as we move forward, we will request our colleagues to help us. And I think the CFO can come and present the financials.